together the actual transformation was a very long process. It started with strictly just the concept. We knew we didn't want to make it a visual effect-driven sequence. We knew we wanted it to be about the actor, about the character, what he was going through. And so over the course of 2 days, we put Michael Trevino through probably the most difficult, but I hope fulfilling experience of his acting career.
We sort of went with the less is more approach and said, you know what, we want to act it. Let's see an actor act this. Because I think if we do it this way, I'll be able to make it emotional.
Before we started shooting it and I read the script and I knew, oh wow, this sounds intense, and I was reading the descriptions of what exactly was going to happen during the transformation. I was excited. I was like, oh wow, that's going to be cool. Oh, that's nice. And then the day before, the day of, when I'm driving to set, I'm like, man, here we go. Like this looks fun, but man, this once I was in it, your mind's just somewhere else. And I was enjoying it, but that was way back in the head. Like I just wasn't even thinking about, oh, this is so much fun. I was just so terrified and so nervous throughout the process. Let's do this.
The director asked Michael to get into some physical movement training, to find a dance-like quality in his movements. So it wasn't just acting pain, it was embodying an experience physically. And Michael worked really, really, really hard to bring it on the day, to be in his tip-top physical shape and his tip-top emotional shape.
I'm glad I picked real chains, because I could have had the option of using, fake ones that were light. But I knew that would help me if they were real, if they were heavy. If I was actually in pain and I really hated these chains, it would work and it would come off through the camera. But it was pinching me a lot on both of my knees and both of my wrists. And they were heavy, so it was just bringing me down. And on that set, that's real dirt and sand there on the ground. That's real gravel that I'm rolling around in. So it was cutting my body up, for sure. When the arm breaks in the opposite way, I would have to pretend it's breaking. It was a lot of stretching. I should have done some yoga before, but it was hard for me to just get in weird positions and pretend like, okay, now your arm's breaking.
The arm breaking was, actually we just ended up replacing his arm completely with a computer-generated version of the arm. The first step that we do on the day on the principal photography, we make sure that there's sufficient tracking data on the body of the actor. So everywhere we're going to be replacing the body of the actor with a computer-generated version of the body. We need to have tracking points that we can later lock on our computer-generated mesh, such as the skeleton, the bulging bones, the muscles, etc. After that, we have the actor scanned in 3D, and then we track that geometry onto the real actor, and then we match the lighting on set and textures and the shading.
Wolves have a different physical anatomical structure than human beings. So when you're talking about transforming a human into a wolf, part of the process that we wanted to show was the painful transformation of saying your joint reverses itself, transforming from a joint that was a human joint to a wolf joint, or from a human hand to a wolf paw.
We put a lot of tracking marks on the face so then we can digitally grow hair and whiskers from his real face. So we would track in a computer-generated face onto him, and then we would grow computer-generated hair and whatnot.
Because you're starting with a real human face, and we used that in-house developed software that allowed us to deform a dog's face or a human face, we were able to take his face and distort it in ways that made it much more scary, and yet it's recognizably him. And that recognition, combined with the scariness, made for the greatest impact. It really worked pretty well.
We didn't have to have, human beings exploding out of their clothes into monster-sized wolf form. We didn't have the two-legged wolf man, which has been done. We went for the most grounded in reality of all the choices, and we were all kind of breathing a big sigh of relief that it worked.
His entire insides are now moving around and transforming and changing and shifting and redeveloping and reorganing.
I'm burning up. It burns.
he got to that moment which I wanted, which was, oh my God, it hurts, it hurts. And when he says that, and Caroline is there with him watching it in the cellar, and it's just so painful, and you see his bones crack, I mean, I flinch. Every time I saw it, I flinched. And I didn't flinch because of the visual effects, and I didn't flinch because of the, you know, the makeup. I flinched because Michael Trevino was screaming and crying and becoming this very vulnerable person, which he isn't.
It's a very scary thing to be that vulnerable in a workplace. And so you really do need to feel that comfort, and you feel that open space, and know that, you know, it's as simple as, I got your back.
Candace was great. You know, I couldn't have done it without that girl. And I remember there's times where it's maybe on my close-up and not hers. She's there with me, but she's off camera. She would help me out. She would improvise certain lines and, you know, speak to me in my ear. That would really help me get there emotionally.
He's had my back, so I value the opportunity to be there for him.
It hurts. It hurts. My voice was gone after 2 days. Take after take of screaming, you know, at the top of my lungs. It's difficult. It's hard. You only have that in you so many times. It was fun, but it was difficult.
He really blew a lot of people's minds. Fans, press, critics, however you want to look at it, people were talking about Michael after that scene, and they should have been, and I'm glad.
I've been down this werewolf train before, and this time I felt like it was a huge success, and I think the reason it was a success was because of, you know, first and foremost, Michael Trevino.